Human man ages, alien woman restarts time. Commander Ryan Hale had exactly 3 regrets when he stepped off the shuttle onto the icy plains of Pharos 9. Accepting this peace envoy mission, wearing boots that squeaked, and eating mystery noodles from the orbital cafeteria. One of those regrets was already manifesting with each loud squeak across the frostbitten landing pad. A pair of alien diplomats approached, tall, thin figures cloaked in silver, like icicles that learned how to walk. Ryan put on his best diplomat face, which was essentially his normal face, but with slightly raised eyebrows and significantly more sarcasm waiting behind his teeth. "Greetings, emissary of Earth," said the taller figure, voice echoing like someone whispering into a fan. "The council awaits." Ryan squinted. "Great! Let's get the cosmic paperwork signed before my toes freeze off and fall into interstellar litigation." The aliens blinked slowly. Ryan sighed. "That was a joke." More blinking. They turned and led him toward the crystalline tower in the distance, its spires gleaming like frozen lightning. Behind him, the shuttle hissed shut, either in protest or relief. Probably both. Inside, warmth greeted him, artificial, clinical, and somehow smelling faintly of pineapple. He followed the diplomats through a maze of shimmering corridors that pulsed with pale blue light, passing what appeared to be floating sculptures, one of which definitely winked at him. They stopped before a circular chamber. "The council will convene shortly. Please wait." Ryan walked in and immediately regretted it. The room was empty. No chairs, no refreshments, just a massive floating hourglass in the center, its sands moving upward. "Of course," he muttered. "Time flows backwards here. Why wouldn't it?" Then the door opened again. She stepped in without a sound, tall, humanoid, but unmistakably not human. Her ears stretched upward and back like elegant blades of light, glowing faintly at the tips. Her eyes shimmered, not in a poetic way, but literally shimmered, as though tiny galaxies swam just behind her irises. Ryan gave her a long look. "Let me guess. You're the mysterious alien advisor the council assigned to me. Got a fancy name like Zarneth or Glorbag?" "Solara," she replied. "Ah, even better." She tilted her head. "Commander Hale, you are not what I expected." "Flattered," he said. "You, on the other hand, look exactly like the hallucination I had last time I drank Martian whiskey, minus the laser harp." "I'll take that as a compliment," she said dryly. He walked around the hourglass. "So, Time Weavers, you guys actually mess with time, or is that just really good branding?" She moved closer, and he noticed her feet didn't quite touch the ground. "We manage its flow, observe, prevent tears, occasionally prune paradoxes, like gardeners. Time gardeners, got it. Should I be worried about cosmic weeds?" "Only if you planted any," she said, smiling faintly. Ryan leaned against the wall, which immediately hissed and retreated from his touch. He stood upright again, clearing his throat. "So what's the plan? I give a rousing speech about Earth's commitment to peace, the council applauds, we all go out for star martinis?" "The council prefers silent meditation over applause," Solara said, "and martinis are illegal in 3 dimensions. Sounds like a party." A pause stretched between them like slowly unfolding time. Then she asked, "Do you always approach diplomacy with humor?" "Only when I'm not allowed to carry a plasma pistol." Her expression didn't change, but the tips of her ears pulsed gently, a flicker of color he couldn't interpret. The council arrived without ceremony. 5 beings entered, each a different species, all wearing the same expression, mildly constipated curiosity. Solara introduced them with titles that sounded like someone rearranged syllables from ancient instruction manuals. Ryan gave his speech. He stuck to the script for exactly 48 seconds, then diverged into a story about the time he accidentally declared war on a vending machine in orbit. Somehow the council listened. Solara didn't interrupt. He even got a chuckle, or maybe a wheeze, from the gelatinous member of the council, who jiggled approvingly. Afterward, the council departed. Solara remained. "You are unlike other humans I've encountered," she said. "You mean better, right?" "I mean unpredictable, temporally erratic, chaotic in frequency." He rubbed his neck. "Yeah, I've been called that, usually by ex-girlfriends." They walked together down a corridor filled with swirling constellations. "So," Ryan said, "what's your story? You ever been to Earth?" She hesitated. "No, time there moves oddly. It's noisy." "Yep, that's just traffic." They came to a balcony overlooking the frozen plains. Solara stopped. "Your presence here, it ripples. Not dangerously, but noticeably." "I have that effect on people." You may be the variable this cycle needs. Ryan turned to her. Cycle? She blinked, then smiled. Another joke. I liked it. She didn't move as he left the balcony, but after he was gone, she reached up and touched her ear. A ripple passed through the air, barely visible. A moment from another time flickered and vanished, and deep beneath the surface of Pharos 9, something ancient stirred in response. Ryan stood on the bridge of the irregular orbit, Earth's least elegant but most stubborn diplomatic cruiser, watching a holographic jellyfish scream at him in 7 languages. The translation chip struggled, finally settling on, "You have insulted our ancestral soup." "I told you," Ryan said, exasperated. "I didn't know it was soup. I thought it was a decorative biopuddle." Solara stood beside him, utterly calm, her long ears faintly glowing blue. "Perhaps offer restitution," she suggested. "To a puddle? To their culture." Ryan sighed and bowed toward the jellyfish ambassador. "On behalf of Earth and my own unfortunate tendency to stick fingers in unknown liquids, I offer sincere apologies." The jellyfish emitted a polite gurgle and ended the transmission. Solara turned to him. "That was not the worst incident you've caused this week." "Oh? So I've got competition now?" "Yesterday you attempted to negotiate trade rights with a sentient fungus by offering it a breadstick. In my defense, I didn't realize it was sentient until it started quoting Shakespeare." Solara almost smiled. They were en route to the Vexen cluster, where a treaty negotiation was scheduled with the Krell Dominion, a species that resembled angry furniture and spoke only in subharmonics. Ryan had already prepared a series of throat exercises and a backup translator named Glenn. Glenn was a goat. In the diplomatic lounge, Ryan practiced his pronunciation with an unfortunate groaning sound that made passing crew members question whether the ship was undergoing engine failure. Solara sat opposite, observing him over a glass of ionized nectar. "Do all humans prepare for diplomacy by making mating calls to black holes?" "Only the classy ones," Ryan said. "Besides, the Krell respect deep vibrations. One good burp and they'll hand over half the sector. That is not an advisable strategy. Neither was letting me captain this ship, yet here we are." She tilted her head. "Do you enjoy pretending not to care?" He stopped mid-throat wobble. "Pretending? You hide behind humor, deflect responsibility, but your file indicates a history of heroic acts, sacrifices, risks others wouldn't take," he snorted. "That file also says I once defeated a warlord with a stapler. Context is everything." Later, as they neared the Vexen cluster, the ship encountered a temporal eddy. Alarms chirped like frightened birds. Ryan pressed the comm. "Bridge report. Temporal fluctuation approaching," came the reply. "Sensors show chronological instability. We're experiencing memory echo." "Memory echo?" Ryan repeated. Solara moved to the console, her fingers gliding over controls. "We are passing through a region where time folds back on itself. You may see things that already happened, or haven't yet." "Fantastic," Ryan muttered. "I always wanted a front row seat to my own midlife crisis." The lights flickered. Ryan blinked, and suddenly, there he was, sitting in the chair across from himself. The second Ryan looked confused, holding a half-eaten protein bar. Hey," Original Ryan waved. "Don't freak out. Temporal echo." Echo Ryan pointed to Solara. "She's glowing brighter in this one." Solara sighed. "This is temporary." Echo Ryan vanished. Ryan scratched his chin. "You ever get used to that?" "Not entirely," she replied. "But I am used to moments not being what they appear." The ship stabilized. The Krell negotiation went surprisingly well, aided by Glenn's strategically timed bleat. Ryan made a formal speech, only partially plagiarized from an ancient Earth sitcom, and the Krell signed the treaty with what appeared to be a very satisfied creak. Back on the ship, Ryan sat on the observation deck, staring out at the nebula blooming in violet hues. Solara joined him in silence. He spoke first. "So, time folds, echo selves, angry furniture. Just another Tuesday." She looked at him. "You're adapting quickly. I've learned the trick is to stop asking questions." "That is not the trick." "Okay, fine. The real trick is pretending you're on a weird vacation. You're avoiding the truth." Ryan didn't respond immediately. He looked at her, really looked at her, the way her long ears flicked with faint pulses of color, the calm gravity she carried. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Personal, I mean." Solara nodded. "Do you ever get tired of watching people change while you don't?" She turned to the stars. "Time is not linear for me, but I still feel its weight. I remember every moment, every version, every end." That sounds exhausting. It is. He leaned back in the seat. Guess I should stop making jokes then. No, she said softly. Your jokes are grounding. They remind me that not every moment has to be tragic. He smiled. Well, in that case, what do you get when you cross a black hole in a motivational speaker? I do not know. A singularity that really believes in you. Solara blinked slowly. That is terrible. And yet you smiled. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Your ears glowed yellow. That's a smile, right? She looked away. Possibly. Ryan chuckled. I'll take it. They sat in companionable silence. Far behind them, the memory echo of a younger Ryan practiced subharmonic diplomacy with an empty chair. Somewhere ahead, time folded and unfolded again, already weaving new possibilities neither of them could see. Ryan was dying, again. Statistically speaking, he coughed from the biobed, I should really start carrying around a loyalty punch card for near-death experiences. One more, and I get a free smoothie. Solara stood over him, her ears glowing an anxious shade of violet. You were exposed to a tachyon field calibrated to reverse cellular momentum. Your atoms were literally trying to move back into the past. Yeah, I figured something was off when I started sneezing baby teeth. She adjusted the containment field, which hummed and flickered like an indecisive insect. Ryan's vitals stabilized just enough for him to muster a grin. Tell me again why we agreed to visit a planet run by sentient time anomalies. You insisted. You said, and I quote, I want to see if my dad jokes get better in reverse. Ah, classic me. After another hour of chronostabilization, he managed to sit up. His hair had ungrayed itself slightly. His joints made fewer complaints. A small win in the war against entropy. I'm fine, he said. Good as new, or old, or somewhere in the mid-range of temporal freshness. You're lucky. Solara replied. The Time Council advised against interaction with T-Kappa-4 for a reason. The entire planet is caught in a recursive phase bloom. Right. Planet eats itself every Tuesday and reboots by Thursday. That's not a vacation spot. That's a casino buffet of causality. She watched him closely. You shouldn't joke about what happened. You know me. If I can't joke, I short-circuit. You briefly. She didn't smile. He reached for her hand, missed, tried again. But you brought me back. Again. Like always. She hesitated. You won't always be able to come back, Ryan. They left T-Kappa-4 with the universe mostly intact and Ryan only slightly younger than before. On the way back to the diplomatic corps, they passed a drift of orphaned moons orbiting nothing, a nebula shaped like a laughing face, and one very persistent message from the Galactic Alliance reminding Ryan that he had jury duty on Earth in 3 years' subjective time. He ignored it. In the mess hall, he slurped a bowl of neutrino noodles and stared at the flickering screen of news updates. Most were mundane. A few weren't. Solara, he said with a mouthful, does it ever feel like time's speeding up? Not literally, I mean just more days passing between the important ones. She sat across from him. You are experiencing temporal contrast. It is common among species with short subjective lifespans. That's one way to call me old without using the word wrinkly. Your perception of time changes as you age. I warned you. I remember, he said, and I ignored it. That's our thing, right? You warn me, I do it anyway. We save the day, and then I make a terrible pun while bleeding. You do have patterns. He set down his spoon. What happens when the pattern breaks? She didn't answer. The mission log had them scheduled next for the Theron Assembly, a coalition of crystalline beings who communicated by vibrating in harmonic chords. Ryan had to wear a resonance suit to match pitch. The suit vibrated so intensely that he accidentally sang 3 verses of an ancient Earth pop song during a treaty session. Solara smirked during the chorus. Afterward, they walked along the observation deck while a binary sun blinked in the distance. Ryan talked about Earth holidays, of snow that never happened in space and dogs in sweaters. Solara shared tales of her youth, abstract stories from a nonlinear past, like poems caught in feedback loops. I met you once before, she said. He stopped. What? She touched the glass. A long time ago, a different version of you. You didn't know me, but I watched you die. Then I rewound time. He blinked. And again, she said. And again. I've reset it more times than I'm allowed to count. You're joking. No, he stared at her. You rewound time to be with me? She nodded. He swallowed hard. I don't know whether to be flattered or terrified. Both are reasonable. Why didn't you tell me? Because I thought I could do it better each time. Save you longer. Protect the pattern. But your time always runs out, no matter what I change. He took a shaky breath. So what version is this? The last one, she whispered. It has to be. Silence stretched between them. Then Ryan did what he always did. He laughed. So no pressure, right? Solara looked startled. He grinned. If this is our last shot, then I guess we'd better make it a good one. She blinked. You're not angry? Oh, I'm furious. You messed with time, violated a dozen treaties, probably made me lactose intolerant in some realities. But I get it. He leaned on the railing. I wouldn't let you go either. They stood there for a long moment, watching the stars twitch. Then Ryan added, Also, I'd like to lodge a formal complaint with time. I've still got back pain. Solara smiled. I can't fix everything. No, but you fixed this moment, and that's enough. A ripple passed through the ship, a gentle distortion like reality shrugging its shoulders. Ryan looked up. A paradox warning, Solara said. From what? From ourselves. They shared and sighed. Welp, time to break the universe with style. Ryan woke up to find two of himself arguing over a bowl of cereal. Your beard's uneven, said the version in the red bathrobe. Yeah? Well, your robe's inside out, snapped the one in the blue slippers. Ryan blinked, rubbed his face, and sat up. Okay, so either I've been cloned again, or Solara left the time gate open during her midnight snack run. The red-robed Ryan turned. Oh good, the original's awake. Or am I the original? Blue Slippers threw up his hands. We've been over this. I remember the jellyfish soup incident, so I must be older. Right, because remembering your mistakes is totally proof of temporal seniority. Red shot back. Ryan held up a hand. Stop, all of you. I haven't had coffee yet, and I refuse to mediate between myself and myself. Solara entered the room holding a steaming cup. I anticipated this. He took the cup, sighed, sipped, and gestured vaguely. So? Localized timeline spillover. Your previous echoes from the last iteration of reality are beginning to manifest physically. Great, so I'm shedding alternate selves now? Should I start charging rent? Solara handed a small, glowing device to the red-robed one, who blinked and vanished in a puff of unsung probability. The other stared at his slippers, shrugged, and winked out of existence. Ryan finished his coffee. You know, in some cultures, this would count as a religious experience. She didn't respond. Her expression had become too neutral, what he called serious ears mode. What is it? He asked. She moved to the wall, activated a holofield, and projected a swirling vortex of timelines. Dozens of them knotted and frayed like a cosmic plate of overcooked spaghetti. This is the damage, she said, from my previous resets. Ryan studied the mess. Looks like my mom's only with more apocalyptic consequences. The loops are collapsing. Every time I rewound time, I layered a contradiction over another. Now the fabric of causality is unraveling. He pointed to one of the threads, which blinked pink and occasionally emitted a faint burp. Is that the timeline where I became a pastry chef? She hesitated. Yes, and that version is aggressively expanding. Not the worst possible outcome, he muttered. Solara turned to him. The council has noticed. They've issued a directive. He raised an eyebrow. Let me guess. Stop meddling with time or get turned into a space cactus. They're not that forgiving. Ryan stood, ran a hand through his hair. So what do they want? For me to reset one final time, completely, remove the last loop, let you die, let everything run its natural course. He stared at her. Then he shook his head. Nope, you don't get to choose. Doesn't mean I won't argue. He stepped closer. You've spent all this time, literally, trying to save me. Don't throw that away. I didn't do it just for you, she said quietly. I know. You did it because you felt something, because you care, because deep down you hoped it could be different. She closed her eyes. Hope is irrational, says the woman who's looped time more than a DJ at a rave. Solara paced, her hands glowing faintly with unstable energy. The paradoxes are infecting reality. Time is bleeding. People are starting to remember things that never happened. I've received messages from beings who don't exist yet. Ryan scratched his neck. Okay, yeah, that part sounds bad. And unless we fix this, really fix it, every version of the universe collapses. So how do we fix it? She looked at him, and her voice was very, very quiet. We sync. He blinked. Sync, like dancing? No, not that kind of sync. Full neurological alignment. Shared consciousness. You and I will become temporally tethered, one mind across multiple realities. He took a step back. That sounds invasive. It is. He paused. But would it let you stabilize the paradox? Yes, if we anchor each other. My memory's your fixed timeline. Together we can seal the loop from inside. He scratched his head. So I'm basically becoming a cosmic USB stick? An extremely important one. I always dreamed of being a hero, just didn't think it would involve shared brain bandwidth and existential lag. They stood in silence. Then he nodded. All right, let's plug in. She smiled, faintly. It will be uncomfortable. Please, I've been inside a telepathic sandstorm during allergy season. I'm built for uncomfortable. They initiated the sync in the ship's quantum heart chamber. The room shimmered with layered chronowaves, and Solara guided him into the field. She touched his forehead. He touched her temple. It hit like 1,000 conversations at once, every version of Ryan talking at full volume inside his own head, every version of Solara echoing her regrets, her choices, her laughter. He saw himself dying, over and over, sometimes in her arms, sometimes alone, once while slipping on a space banana peel. He also saw her watching him, always just behind the moment, quiet, unmoving, eternal. He gasped. She didn't. The sync clicked into place. Time steadied. The timeline stopped unraveling. For 1 second, the universe sighed. Back on the bridge, Ryan woke up first. He rubbed his head. Okay, that was worse than my worst hangover and the time I tried alien sushi in zero gravity combined. Solara opened her eyes. Her voice was calm. It worked. No more echoes? Gone. No more pastry chef clones? Erased. He grinned. But the memory lives on. They sat in silence again. Then Ryan turned. So what now? Now we live. For how long? As long as we can. He leaned back. Sounds like a plan, but first, I'm gonna need a nap, a sandwich, and possibly a new spleen. I'll arrange it. And maybe, tomorrow, we find a planet with beaches. Solara tilted her head. Sand confuses me. Perfect. Then we'll be equally uncomfortable. She smiled. So did he. Ryan stood in the galley holding a tube of syntho mayo and looking dangerously close to philosophical. Do you think if I eat this, I'll understand the universe? He asked. Solara didn't glance up from the glowing tablet she was adjusting. No, but you may hallucinate a conversation with a celery god. Tempting. He squeezed a blob onto his NutriBread and took a bite. Still better than the rations from my cadet days. Back then, we had to wrestle the food cubes into submission. You exaggerate. Only slightly. One of them bit me. Solara put down the tablet. There's a message from the Time Council. Ryan groaned. Don't tell me they want to revoke my time-sync privileges. I didn't even use them to cheat at space poker. They're extending gratitude. Quietly, in their usual passive-aggressive format. So, a common fiction notice. More or less. He nodded thoughtfully, chewing. Do they know we sealed the loop? They suspect, but they cannot prove it. From their perspective, time smoothed itself out. And from ours, she gave him a look. You died 6 times, became a sentient duck once, and accidentally taught a moon to sing jazz. Truly a legacy to be proud of. She stood, her hands glowing faintly, not with power, but with quiet energy that had nowhere else to go. You've stabilized. Time has accepted the new anchor. Ryan wiggled his fingers. So this is it, huh? No more versions of me sneaking out at night for extra snacks. No more resets, just one timeline, one future. One life. He walked over to the viewport and stared out at the distant stars. And I get to keep it. For now. That's the best deal I've ever had. Solara moved beside him, her long ears flickering with calm green pulses. You've changed? I mean, sure, I'm more handsome and I glow slightly in the dark now, but you're different, she said gently. Before, you ran from time. You mocked it, you feared it. Now, you face it. He smiled. Hard not to respect something that tried to kill me with a folding chair and a paradox. She watched him. You joke less. Yeah, he admitted. That part still scares me. She turned to the viewport, watching the stars dance. There's a station on Myron Theta. Peaceful, quiet, time flows normally. They need a cultural liaison. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Are you offering me a desk job? I'm offering you time. He was quiet for a moment. I've never been good at sitting still. You don't have to sit, Jliv. And you? I'll stay. You'll age? She nodded. He took a breath. Good. About time someone else joined me on that ride. They traveled to Myron Theta. The station was barely a dot in the void, tucked into a cloud of bioluminescent gas that pulsed like a slow heartbeat. Ryan took the role, gave speeches, drank alien tea, Taught a class once titled How Not to Insult a Jelly Ambassador. Solara stayed. She began to change. Slowly, subtly. Her glow dimmed a little. Her walk gained rhythm. Her jokes, though rare, improved significantly. One day she sneezed. Ryan marked that day with a small party and a cake made of 3 different realities worth of flour. Years passed. They built a life, not a grand one, not a loop-spanning epic, just a quiet, shared rhythm. They argued about laundry. They watched star whales migrate through ion storms. They held hands during solar eclipses and pretended to be unimpressed. One evening, Ryan found a message blinking on his old diplomatic tablet. It was from a young envoy on Earth asking about Solara. He showed it to her. Seems they've heard about the Time Weaver who stayed. She looked at the message. Do they ask why? He shook his head. Just if it's true. She smiled. Let them wonder. Years became decades. Ryan's hair turned silver. His stride slowed. His jokes grew worse but funnier in context. Solara aged differently, but she aged. Her ears lost their glow. Her voice lost its echo. One night she found him asleep in his chair, a book on diplomacy open in his lap. She sat beside him and whispered a story he once told her backwards, just to see if he'd stir. He didn't. She didn't rewind. Instead, she lit a candle made of memory, sat with him, cried once, and then stood. She walked out into the station's outer ring and stared at the stars. She didn't touch time, didn't bend it, didn't plead. She simply remembered and moved forward. She taught, she laughed, she grew. Time finally moved around her, and somewhere far off, a piece of the universe that had once been broken now hummed in tune, because one man had made peace with time, and one woman had dared to walk beside him through it.